ni mambo ambayo yamefanyika na yametendeka, na si kwamba yametendeka tu kwa viongozi wa kike. Tumeona Machakos viongozi wamepigana, tuliona Kisii, tuliona Nyamira, watu wamepigana katika county assemblies ndani. So haitakuwa vyema tuendelee kunyanyasa wanawake. Naweka wazi kwa wananchi wa Kenya kwamba si viongozi wa kike, na wale ndio wa kwanza tumeona, lakini wale wanapigana zaidi katika hii taifa kwa uongozi ni wanaume.
ETV Africa News at this hour.
We apologize for whatever happened yesterday, though we were not there. We were not there, and we should not, as for the state, build, let's not build a whole mountain out of a small molehill. Let's not build it. Let's de-escalate. Your agenda should always be de-escalate. This is the season for media to choose what to air. Even social media. Be perceptive on what you're sending on social media. I really do actually have a big problem with the person who posted the video, actually, if you ask me. What was the purpose of that video? Is it building Kenyans? Let people, if they have differences, they sort it out. It is not acceptable. I'm not saying what they did is acceptable. I'm not defending that. But like our senator has said, you can call the people who were involved in it to explain or even maybe apologize, but don't pressure women. In fact, you have more men fighting than women, to be honest. Altercations are more with men than with women. But because of the biases, we are dealing with gender biases, serious gender biases. It's a skewed way of how it's reported. But because we are in the media of technology and more transparent, more accountable in the actions that we express as leaders, I would also say let leaders be more careful how they express themselves in public and be more responsible. And even the people sending the videos, let's be more responsible in what we are sending to the public. I think that should settle that issue. So let's go back. We came to say we have a new KEWOSA revamped and ready to serve the women of Kenya. And this time around, we are hoping and praying and trusting we will push the 2/3 gender rule to full implementation. Blows and kicks is not a way, a slap is not a way for even a husband to express himself to the wife. And blows and kicks are unacceptable. In a modest civilized society, we should always have a way of communicating and expressing our displeasure of anything that comes across to us. As you know, as anything that comes across to us, we must have a way of expressing that displeasure without using violence. And violence must also never be used as a means of ascending to power. That's why we want, even when it is time for voting, we want citizens to walk to polling stations calmly with your water or with your child, go cast your vote and walk back to your home while holding your 5-year-old and 2-year-old. So we don't support any form of violence, and we would really say we can on various issues, but one of the things we would want to do is to ensure that we sensitize even officers and key stakeholders on how to be more gender sensitive and how to, when complaints are brought before them, how to manage those complaints so that they are not dismissed. You know, there are some officers who are seated in offices, even government offices, who when a woman reports an offense, like in police stations, and that's why we need gender responsive desks in all the police stations, they will be dismissed as this is just a domestic squabble. And that domestic squabble, behind it, behind the veil, you'll find a woman who is being battered, assaulted, struggled at night. And when they go to report, sometimes they are told, can you go and sort out your issues? Or they are reported to chiefs, and the chief says, go and try and sit with wazee. Yes, people can sit with wazees, but don't sit when somebody is being strangled or suffocated or being beaten senseless, or even being threatened with death threats because of holding maybe onto properties. So we want to sensitize so that they can know where issues have been escalated and where people's lives, women's lives are at risk, at a very serious risk. And we must also acknowledge that even now, even some men have been at risk. in the name of marriage, you know, because we have seen situations where men have been killed and the first suspect in the murder of such a man becomes the spouse or the wife, you know, and love triangles which have led to death of many women and escalated violence in universities. Many girls in universities have really faced death. So we want a sensitization and mainstreaming of gender issues so that people can understand the perspectives of gender, the patriarchal tendencies which some may not even be conscious about, but what they're actually implementing in offices. They're implementing laws based on a patriarchal tendency of assuming that women should be treated in a certain way and men should be treated in a certain way, which is not equal. Those are the things you'll be tackling as KEWOSA to bring that sensitivity.
And again, they were talking about cases taking too long in courts. One example that they gave is a lady who is now blind. 5 years ago, she was gang raped by police officers during a protest. So she went blind on the spot, and up to date, that case has not ended anywhere. So they were talking about these cases taking really too long in the courts. So is there anything that you can really do to ensure that these cases are really handled in the proper way?
We have had sitting as KEWOSA under the previous executive chairperson with the Chief Justice in the judiciary. And while that may be a concern, it is important that such cases are expedited and that the victims are given access to speedy trials. So that's a concern. It's an ongoing concern, which I believe would be best handled when we are in a multi-stakeholder engagement with the judiciary. Obviously, you know, for a successful trial, criminal trial, because those matters will be criminal in nature, a successful criminal trial is a combination of certain factors. The investigation, the availing of evidence, the availing of witnesses. So it's combined effort of different stakeholders. You'll have the DPP's office, the investigators, the Attorney General's office. There are different stakeholders who will be engaged for it to successfully conclude in a speedy manner. So maybe we'll do a stakeholders forum, which then we look at how quick justice can be expedited, just the way we expedite electoral matters. We would want to upscale GBV matters. I think we are now having GBV courts. We would like to expedite that. Thank you very much.
Si picha nzuri sana.
Wajua, mimi nashangazwa sana na jamii yetu jinsi inavyobeba viongozi wa kike tofauti na viongozi wengine. Mwanzo inataka ifahamike ya kwamba kiongozi ni kiongozi. Na tumeona kwamba katika gatuzi ya Machakos jana kumekuwa na vita, lakini sijui ni kwa nini tunataka kuipa fursa kubwa zaidi tukio ambalo lilitokea jana katika bunge kuu la kitaifa la Kenya. Mimi ningependa tu kusema ya kwamba katika uongozi kuna mambo mengi, na sisi wanawake ni wale huwa tunasema wacha tufanye ititoke. We don't scheme, we don't do anything. We just do it right there and finish and wrap up everything that we have. Ni mambo ambayo yamefanyika na yametendeka, na si kwamba yametendeka tu kwa viongozi wa kike. Tumeona Machakos viongozi wamepigana, tuliona Kisii, tuliona Nyamira, watu wamepigana katika county assemblies ndani. So haitakuwa vyema tuendelee kunyanyasa wanawake hata ambao wako katika uongozi, kusema kwamba ni tukio labda la kipekee. We don't have to isolate that scene. Ni mambo ambayo yanaendelea na yote yanahusiana na uongozi. Jumla ya kuwa hatukupendezwa sisi na hata wao wenyewe. Dada yetu Umi ambaye ni mtoto mdogo amejitokeza na kaomba msamaha wananchi. Kwa hivyo katika uongozi kuna mambo mengi, na isiwe basi tu mnazungumzia mtoto wa kike, kwa sababu hata hii campaign ambayo tunaenda kuifanya kule mashinani kama KEWOSA, kama viongozi wa kike, sio campaign ya mtoto wa kike peke yake. Ni campaign kwa jamii, tuweze kuzungumza, tujadiliane tumekosea wapi kama jamii na tuuzibe huu ufa kabla tujenge ukuta. Tunaomba kwa unyenyekevu kama viongozi wa kike, tunapokuwa tunaangazia hadithi ama matukio yanayoendelea, tusionee sana. Watoto wa kike kufika katika nyadhifa za uongozi wanatumia nguvu 1100 ile mtoto wa kiume anatumia. Na wakati jambo kama lile limetokea, tukilianza kuliangazia kwa kuwa na atiati, ingekuwa vyema kama mngeweza kuwapata wale wabunge wawili na muweze kuwauliza haya maswali moja kwa moja. Hivyo ndio vitakuwa ni sawa. Manake nidhamu ya bunge inaashiria ya kwamba hatupaswi kumzungumzia mtu hayuko. Sote tumeona ile video, sote hatukuwepo. Kwa hivyo ni vyema nyinyi kama waandishi wa habari, ndugu zetu wapendwa, muweze kuwaita wale dada zetu, mjue, na nina hakika ni maswala tu, wajua hii kampeni tunaenda kufanya ili tupasa kila kiongozi achague constituency, na labda hapo ndo wamekinzana, manake wote tunaona wametoka Garissa, labda kila mtu amechagua hiyo constituency kwa ajili ya mapenzi ya kutaka kusaidia jamii yetu. So ni vyema na ni bora zaidi mama kama kiongozi wa kike, ni waombe waandishi wa habari, muko na uwezo wa kuwafikia, muwafikie ili mupate kujua kutoka kwao wao wenyewe ni kitu gani. Lakini naweka wazi kwa wananchi wa Kenya kwamba si viongozi wa kike, na wale ndio wa kwanza tumeona, lakini wale wanapigana zaidi katika hii taifa kwa uongozi ni wanaume.